The virus now being blamed for killing over 800 people. Lines for masks wrapping around the block in Hong Kong as Americans on board this quarantine cruise ship play a waiting game.
Not in your stomach all day, every day.
The new cases reported on board that ship.
Sharpening their attacks, Democrats blitzing New Hampshire 2 days before the primary. Joe Biden taking aim at Mayor Pete.
This guy's not a Barack Obama.
How he's fighting back.
Afghan attack, at least 2 U.S. service members killed, 6 wounded during a joint military operation. How the mission turned deadly. Was it an insider attack?
Shooting rampage. At least 26 people killed, more than 50 hurt when a soldier opens fire at a military base and a mall. The standoff lasting for hours.
And Hollywood's biggest night, the Oscars are here. Stars ready to shine on the red carpet.
Are you an actor?
No, I'm a stuntman.
The movies, actors and actresses all hoping to take home Oscar. We've got all you need to know.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
The award show overnight. Will it predict tonight's winners? Is it Renee's night?
That you dare to dream.
Will Ford versus Ferrari drive home victorious, or will a Joker have the last laugh?
Live from ABC News in New York, this is Good Morning America.
And good morning. Let's take a live look at that red carpet at the Dolby Theater, where just hours from now it will be filled with A-list stars heading into a night of suspense. Among those hoping to take home an Oscar, Brad Pitt hoping to take home his second Oscar of his career for his role in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And I didn't know this, but he actually won his first not for acting, but for producing 12 Years a Slave.
That was an incredible movie.
Yeah.
Quite a career. We're going to cover everything Oscar-related coming up later this morning, but we're going to start here with some sobering news on the worldwide coronavirus outbreak, now claiming officially more lives than the SARS outbreak back in 2002.
Yeah, that virus now blamed for killing more than 800 people in China and infecting over 37,000. Dozens sicken on a cruise ship docked in Japan, and the numbers are rising. ABC's Maggie Rulli joins us on the ground there in Yokohama, Japan, with more. Maggie, good morning.
Hi, Wick. Good morning. Yeah, just today there were new cases of that coronavirus reported on board this cruise ship. We spoke to one couple on board. They said they're trying to remain in good spirits, but as more and more people keep getting sick, they're really starting to get scared. This morning, the number of deaths from the novel coronavirus soaring above 800, now topping the SARS outbreak of 2002. The mad scramble is on for face masks and supplies. Passengers on board the Diamond Princess cruise ship are on day 5 of a 14-day quarantine after 6 new cases of coronavirus were reported just today alone, making it 70 in total, at least 12 of them Americans. Newlyweds Milana and Guy are now spending their honeymoon in quarantine.
I definitely gonna say, like, if we weren't together, we probably get a little more crazy.
Yeah. Just imagine like a knot in your stomach all day, every day.
How is your mental health? How's your head doing?
Our heart's like beating so fast, and like when we take our temperature, we're like panicking. And luckily, it's like, okay, 98.6, good.
That fear is ripping through Asia, with more than 37,000 infected worldwide, mostly in mainland China. Lines for masks wrap around the block in Hong Kong, and authorities check commuters in China for fever. In Wuhan, the epicenter of the outbreak, hospital workers in hazmat suits are overwhelmed by patients. Workers race to convert a convention center into dorms for the infected. And the U.S. Embassy confirms a 60-year-old living in Wuhan has become the first American to die from the virus.
I want to send my condolences to the loved ones of the United States citizen who fell victim to the coronavirus in Wuhan.
In Hong Kong, authorities are now threatening jail time to anyone who breaks quarantine. In China, President Xi's been under political pressure to regain control of the novel coronavirus. Milana and Guy say they aren't taking any chances and they're not leaving their room.
I'd rather go mentally crazy than catch the virus and be stuck here for another 6 weeks.
Seriously.
To be quite honest with you.
It'll be worth it in the end for us to just get home, be healthy and clean, and that's it.
And people on board this cruise ship tell us that the U.S. Embassy has said once this quarantine is over, they will be able to fly back to the U.S. on a commercial flight. Eva?
Now, Maggie, travel is still restricted. No exceptions, even for healthy people coming from these affected areas like China.
Eva, it's a good point, and we're starting to see the real impact of these travel restrictions. In fact, just this weekend, the award-winning actress Zhao Zhuxin wasn't able to accept her Spirit Award for Best Supporting Actress. She was stuck in China, not able to fly to the U.S. because of these travel restrictions.
Maggie Rulli for us there. Thank you. Whit?
All right, Eva, to politics now and the countdown to the next contest, the nation's first presidential primary. Democrats blitzing New Hampshire this weekend ahead of Tuesday's voting. ABC's Rachel Scott joining us from Manchester. And Rachel, the candidates are really sharpening their attacks.
That's right, Whit. Good morning. This is a fight for momentum and a debate over which candidate is best fit to take on President Trump. Former Vice President Joe Biden on the attack, and the target is Mayor Pete Buttigieg.
Elizabeth Warren.
2 days out from the New Hampshire primary, Joe Biden sharpening his attacks on a rising Mayor Pete Buttigieg.
This guy's not a Barack Obama. Barack Obama been a United States Senator of a really large state.
In this blistering new ad, the former VP ripping into Buttigieg's experience as a small-town mayor.
Joe Biden helped save the auto industry, which revitalized the economy of the Midwest. Pete Buttigieg revitalized the sidewalks of downtown South Bend by laying out decorative brick.
And calling out Buttigieg's lack of support among black voters.
Here's what he never mentions. The only Democrats to win the presidency is where we have overwhelming support from the African-American community, and don't take it for granted.
But Buttigieg says it's time for the next generation to step in.
We're tired of being reduced to a punchline by Washington politicians who want to see themselves and their stories in the future.
Out on the trail, brushing off concerns about his resume.
Some folks are out there saying, what business does a mayor of South Bend have running for the presidency? You don't have an office in Washington? That's exactly the point.
Senator Bernie Sanders at the top of the polls here in New Hampshire, rallying volunteers and feeling confident.
If you read these articles out, the establishment is beginning to get nervous.
And Senator Bernie Sanders will be hoping to use his backyard advantage. The Vermont senator won this state in the 2016 Democratic primary, but Mayor Pete Buttigieg is on the rise and right behind him in the polls. Dan?
Rachel Scott on the ground in New Hampshire. Thank you, Rachel. For more on all of this, let's bring in our chief White House correspondent, John Carl. John, good morning to you. So Mayor Pete is not the only candidate Joe Biden is attacking. I want to play you a moment from an interview that Joe Biden gave our George Stephanopoulos just recently, in which Biden goes after Bernie Sanders.
So you think flat out Democrats can't defeat Trump if they have to defend socialism?
I think it's going to be incredibly more difficult. I'm not going to say, look, if I don't get the nomination and Bernie gets it, I'm going to work like hell for him. But I tell you what, it's a bigger uphill climb. Running as a senator or a congressperson or as a governor on a ticket that calls itself a Democratic Socialist ticket.
Okay, that attack is slightly less hard than the ones he's been leveling against Buttigieg, but these kind of attacks generally are off-brand for Biden. He's long cautioned against Democratic infighting. So is there a possibility that this new approach is going to backfire for him?
Oh, absolutely, and they are off-brand. Remember, Biden got into this race as the front-runner who said he was not going to go after his fellow Democrats. All of his fire was aimed directly at Donald Trump. Now he finds himself trailing and trailing badly. His campaign has calculated, Dan, that he simply has no choice, and they're probably right. That doesn't mean it's going to work.
What are the stakes for Biden if he delivers another fourth place or maybe even third place showing in New Hampshire after the fourth place in Iowa?
Well, on one hand, he still looks strong in South Carolina. He still leads many of the national polls. But, Dan, this is not his only problem. Fourth place in Iowa, a bad finish here. He also is running out of money. Even before this, he was fourth place in fundraising, less money in the bank. A fourth place finish here or worse in New Hampshire might not be a knockout, but it would be close.
Crunch time for Joe Biden. Let me loop back to Biden's attacks on Mayor Pete. It just got me wondering, do you think voters care right now about experience, or in today's political marketplace, is it more really about the kind of feelings and emotions that a candidate evokes?
Well, my sense is that they do care about experience. They also care about finding a candidate who they believe understands them, cares about them. But look, Democrats in 2020 care about beating Donald Trump above all things, electability. It's hard to say you're the most electable candidate when you're coming in fourth place.
John Carl, always appreciate your analysis. Thank you so much. By the way, tune in later this morning to This Week when our chief anchor George Stephanopoulos goes one-on-one with Democratic presidential candidates Joe Biden, Pete Buttigieg, and Elizabeth Warren. Plus, the Powerhouse Roundtable will debate Tuesday's New Hampshire primary and the fallout from the Senate impeachment vote this week. That's all coming up on This Week later this morning. And a reminder, while I have you, we still have continuing coverage leading up to the New Hampshire primary right here on ABC News and 24/7 on ABC News Live, our streaming channel, available right now. Breaking news and analysis around the clock. Eva, over to you.
Well, now to some breaking news overnight. At least 2 U.S. service members killed in Afghanistan in a shootout between soldiers involved in joint military operations. ABC's David Wright joins us from Washington with more. Good morning, David.
Good morning, Eva. This was a shootout between Afghan and American forces in eastern Afghanistan. 2 U.S. soldiers killed, 6 others wounded. The details are sketchy at this point, but here's what we do know. The bloody firefight took place late Saturday in the Nangarhar province in eastern Afghanistan. Apparently an insider attack. The U.S. military says someone wearing an Afghan uniform opened fire with a machine gun on a group of U.S. and Afghan forces. The gunman reportedly killed. The 7th Special Forces Group tweeted several of its soldiers were injured or killed during combat operations in Afghanistan on February 8, 2020. The families of the deceased and wounded are being notified. An Afghan Defense Ministry official claims the attacker was an Afghan army soldier who had argued with the U.S. forces before shooting at them. It's not clear if the gunman was a Taliban infiltrator. The U.S. military is investigating. The motive for this attack still unknown. President Trump talked in the State of the Union about wanting to end America's longest war and bring U.S. troops home. U.S. diplomats have been meeting with the Taliban in recent weeks to that end, but there have been conflicting reports from Afghan officials about the progress they're making. Whit?
All right, David Wright in Washington, our thanks to you. Now to the massacre in Thailand. This morning, we are learning new details about the suspect that killed at least 26 people, an American surviving that rampage. ABC's Julia McFarlane is covering the story from our London bureau with more. Julia, good morning to you.
Good morning. The standoff between security forces and the gunman lasted for hours amid fears he may have taken hostages. This morning, at least 26 people killed and more than 50 wounded in a shooting rampage. The suspect, a Thai army sergeant, posting on Facebook about the carnage in a city 160 miles east of Bangkok as he carried on the bloody attack. The man first killing 2 people on a military base, stealing an army Humvee and weapons, then opening fire on people on the street and at a temple before heading to a popular mall where shoppers sought cover anywhere they could. There, security camera footage shows the lone gunman walking down a hallway with an assault rifle. This as police worked to evacuate as many civilians as possible, including a U.S. citizen who was rescued. Gunfire ringing out as the Thai troops giving chase push deeper into the mall to confront the gunman. Police sharpshooters finally neutralizing the suspect 16 hours after the crisis began. Today, Thailand's Prime Minister visiting victims in hospitals, recovering from wounds in the country's worst shooting spree. The Prime Minister calling the incident unprecedented and raising questions about the attacker's mental health. And the Thai Prime Minister this morning saying that this incident may have been sparked by a personal dispute, adding that he never wanted to see another crisis like this again. Dan?
Let's hope not. Back here, Julia, thank you. Back here at home, we've got some breaking news overnight. The urgent manhunt in New York City for a suspect in what the police commissioner is calling a, quote, attempted assassination of a police officer. They're searching for this man caught on surveillance cameras. They say he approached the officer in a marked NYPD van in the South Bronx Saturday night, asked for directions, and then opened fire. The officer was hit in the neck and chin and is expected to make a full recovery.
We have dramatic video this morning from a fire that turned a country star's tour bus into an inferno. The video shot by the star himself, Neil McCoy, streaming the whole disaster as it happened.
Old Glory.
A country star's brushed with death.
On Highway 84, having tour bus on fire.
Award-winning artist Neil McCoy, best known for hits like No Doubt About It and The Shake.
Shake it to the left, shake it to the right. Come on, baby, you know what I like.
across from the side of the road as massive flames erupted from his tour bus.
Our bus is burning to the ground.
The singer, who captured the whole incident on Facebook Live, said they were traveling from Texas when he heard a pop.
I felt our driver pull over and he came back on the bus and said, "Guys, I think we may have a fire."
McCoy and his team were unharmed.
Everybody is out, or I wouldn't be doing it. Everybody is okay. So don't anybody worry about us.
McCoy even introducing the firefighters before rallying them with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag.
Something he's done for the last 4 years. Despite all that, McCoy making a triumphant return to the stage. Performing last night at a show in Louisiana.
And McCoy taking to Facebook, thanking everyone for their thoughts, prayers, and well wishes. Some of his fans asking about donations to replace that bus and the things lost in the fire. He says they are all replaceable and most likely covered by insurance. And he goes on to write, encouraging anyone who wants to make a donation to do it instead to the East Texas Angel Network.
Great idea. He's got a great attitude about the whole thing, for sure. Well, this morning we celebrate Robert Conrad, star of some of the most popular television series of the 1960s and 70s.
I was thinking about reaching for the shark repellent, and then my luck really turned bad.
Conrad became a familiar face to viewers with starring roles in Baa Black Sheep, The Wild Wild West, and Hawaiian Eye. He also starred in 7 movies and recorded music under the name Bob Conrad. Robert Conrad was 84 years old.
A legend.
Absolutely.
A legend for sure.
Happy Bowington. I was obsessed with the Black Sheep Squadron when I was a kid. Of course, just the reruns. I didn't watch it during the 70s. But
you weren't old enough.
No. But had a great theme song, as did so many TV series in the 70s. Bobby, we're going to miss you for sure. Hey, show you some video out of Georgia. Boy, we had some snow there. Metro Atlanta as well. This is out of Dawsonville, a little bit farther north, about 4 inches there. But people getting stuck on the roadways. They don't have too many plows down there. So it was an issue, to say the least, and they have freezing fog going on in some spots. All right, Minneapolis, just outside of Minneapolis, we're seeing live shots now from our ABC affiliate KSTP, which is showing in the roadways, including the interstates, getting enough snow to make for slick spots there. We could see 6 to 12 inches of snow in some spots, especially south of Minneapolis, where there is a winter storm warning now posted. Winter weather advisories from Chicago to Detroit. This is a quickly developing system, going to give you a quick thump of snow. Snowfall rates of 1 to 2 inches per hour, and then this front will get into the northeast with some snow north of I-90, but right around I-40 and parts of the Mid-South. Heavy rain through the rest of this week, flooding potentially. That's a quick check on what's happening nationally. Time now for a look at your local forecast.
Hello and happy Sunday. A lot of sunshine today. Also some milder air, highs near the 50-degree mark later on this afternoon. Bit of a southerly flow ahead of the next system that will bring rain chances back to our area to start the work week. 52 degrees on Monday with scattered showers. Most likely rain, I believe, Tuesday morning. 55 degrees though, so very mild. Back into the upper 40s on Wednesday with some evening showers. We'll go back the other way ahead of a cold front. 58 degrees on Thursday, cold by Friday and Saturday.
Make us wait for that?
Yes, that's the big tease, Dan.
Cliffhanger.
People are going to stick around for it.
We just want to know if the hair is going to look good. Come on.
Yeah, I think they've got it covered, so we're good.
Well, moving on now to the new report on the sign-stealing scandal involving the Houston Astros. Did an intern with a head for numbers pitch the plan to his top boss? ABC's Kaylee Hartung has more.
Astros take the lead.
This morning, the Wall Street Journal reporting the Houston Astros scheme to steal signs included an algorithm presented by an intern in the team's high-tech front office to their former GM, Jeff Luhnow, in 2016.
Essentially, he thought it was the Astros studying for the test. That's what he said. What was happening in reality wasn't studying for the test. It was that they were getting the answers in real time.
According to a private letter now obtained by the Journal, Major League Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred found the Astros sign stealing began as an Excel-based application programmed with an algorithm that could decode the opposing catcher's signs. It was called Codebreaker.
This spreadsheet was able essentially to decode the signs, to figure out how the signs corresponded with each pitch.
The Journal reports it wasn't until a year later that the team used the algorithm in real time, using a camera in the outfield stands to steal the catcher's signal to the pitcher. Astros staffers would watch that camera feed at this